CMMS Radio talks about all things CMMS, computerized maintenance management software, focused on maintenance management. It's the people, the process, and the culture that make your CMMS journey a success. Everybody, thanks for tuning in to CMMS Radio. We have a returning guest. It's Alex Cummings. He is with FlowPath, and today is really special because we're going to talk about how they are now an AI-powered CMMS. They're built for education. They're built for municipalities, and they are built for multi-site commercial organizations. I love all of it. I used to be a co-founder myself. Alex, welcome back to CMMS Radio.
Thanks, Greg. It's awesome to be back here.
Yeah. And I'm always watching your journey. I've helped some folks get connected with you. I get amazing feedback from them, and that's just important to me because the way it really needs to get done is how you support your clients. So I want to ask first, how did this all happen when it came to, hey, we're seeing all this AI buzz out here, but we want to do it differently? Because I happen to know a lot of work went into this before the release, like a ton, because Brandon filled me in, and I just want to hear your side of it. How did that all come to be?
Yeah, I mean, I think part one, the prior podcast I was on, is probably a good primer for this conversation here. But the genesis of the whole thing was the availability of a broader AI platform like OpenAI to be able to give us just an initial foot in the door, to be able to connect agents to our platform, to be able to take information, act on it, and provide functionality that we thought was valuable enough to actually spend resources building into the platform. And so, that didn't happen overnight. Like it wasn't something that was super obvious of a use case for a lot of people in the industry, I think. But for us, we took a hard look at it mid last year and figured out a game plan of how we wanted to attack it. And, our last conversation, my previous episode, I think we were talking about rolling out the beta version, what we had in store. And all of that has come to fruition now. We finished the beta. We launched it this week now, fully to the whole customer base. It's free. It's included in the platform, which was an interesting decision point on our end too. We just thought it was too important to put behind any kind of money. And so really just excited for that to be in the wild, because it was really successful in the beta testing. We had over 24 customers using it, kind of in select use cases. And now it's just such an ultra powerful, great tool. And so happy to get into kind of the details around anything around it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, straight off, I love that you made the decision, a difficult one, but then if we take kind of a step back, maybe even like for sure the obvious correct one is you're really doing something to enhance the outcomes for your clients by including it system wide. And that's going to make a difference and an impact for them. And for me personally, I'm always kind of, hey, why does this really matter? Because without our customers, we don't have anything. So anything that's going to help drive not just value, but true insights that are actionable for them with actual AI, as opposed to just slapping it on there like, hey, we've got AI because we do a couple of little AI things. That's what makes me excited about this. But when you say, get into it a little bit more, you're probably going to give me maybe a couple of examples of what it really does within the platform to make an impact, maybe industry specific.
Sure. Yeah. So, we have lots of customers using it for creating assets. We have a particular customer that we know, when their team goes out to a client site and does asset collection to build an asset registry for that customer, which then gets put into FlowPath. They used to send out 2, sometimes 3 guys to be collecting all the information of their assets. And now they only need to send 1 guy out, because you can take all the pictures, the serial number plates, all the pictures of the assets, organize it, and then just upload it into the AI assistant. And with the correct prompts and just telling it what to do, it will really cleanly organize and create all of these assets for you. And then it doesn't just stop there. So it's not one at a time, and it's now hundreds of assets being created at once from your inputs. And then further, you can then go and classify and categorize all of these things that you've just created at once, based on best practice suggestions, or however you prompt the system to take action on it. And I think that's the big thing. It's you can tell it what to do. It's not kind of like a button you press and something happens, right? Like it's not just a defined workflow. It is open. You can ask it questions about anything about your data, but then we have built it into the system every step of the way. So whether you're in the equipment module or preventive maintenance or the inventories or projects, whatever it may be, you can have the assistant helping you out along the way.
And if I recall correctly, and certainly let me know if I'm misremembering this, but it's actually, so if I'm a client, I'm an organization, let's say an educational institution that's leveraging the FlowPath platform, and then I want to use the AI assistant, it will start to learn from me. I can teach it so that it can be better for me. And that's just for my own instance in FlowPath, right? So that it starts to learn how we really do what we do.
Yeah, in a way. So everybody has their own unique kind of AI assistant. And as you're feeding it information and telling it to do things, it operates in a similar way that a conversation with ChatGPT and OpenAI would at the moment. So it does learn. It can retain information, understand how you're going to be doing things, and you can teach it things. And so creating workflows, creating kind of unique functional outcomes that you're looking to accomplish with it is right in its wheelhouse. And so right now it is ubiquitous within the system. It's over everything, and it can have impact across the board. The future of the AI assistant and what we're working on this year now that we have it connected and it's just in everything, is packaging up strategic outcomes to then say, hey, do you want this package essentially of automations that the AI assistant can do for you behind the scenes? And real life examples of that are work order triage management. So we know there's usually somebody sitting triaging incoming work requests, kicking them back to requesters for more information, or sending them out to the right trade, tagging the user in it, whatever it may be, making comments and updating. This is a tool that can allow for that process just to be automated in a smart way, and one that learns, like you were saying. It can become smarter about how it does it with tweaks that you can approve along the way. And so now that you're getting time back, because the manager, the secretary, the technician doesn't need to be behind a phone or a laptop all day triaging these incoming work orders, they can actually do some proactive work that they want to be focused on.
I love that, because when we think about, all of our collective experiences when it comes to not just the deployments, but one of the biggest concerns is, if I'm a company and I'm getting FlowPath, I'm instantly thinking, well, somebody's going to have to handle all these incoming work orders from people that aren't like experts on how to submit work orders, nor should they necessarily be expected to know, that they're asking something that's going to cause 10 minutes of extra research. Now you're bringing that time back into the organization, even into that person's life. So the organizations that are launching the platform don't have to get stuck on that. So what you've done, essentially, in my view, is you've eliminated a barrier to entry that also includes nothing but upside. Because if it's going to learn how you want to work and manage the triage situations with all those incoming work orders, now you can start focusing on other aspects of the system that are connected to how your maintenance team works and flows. And then I'm assuming if, kind of in some of these situations, like if it's education, you might have some student housing and people that just send in all kinds of random work orders. Or maybe it's a really big company that also has customers of customers that are sending in all this stuff. That just creates an opportunity to eliminate time waste, and also gets stronger on the accuracy of the work that's being requested that actually becomes a work order, becomes an actionable item. Am I kind of getting that all right?
Yeah, and again, like there's no one defined outcome that we're going for. It could be a very broad set. We just have heard from a lot of our customers just common pain points and have mapped out just very common workflows that people are struggling with or want to accomplish. And so that triage process is one of them. And that package isn't just going to be for triaging the incoming, right? It's going to be monitoring in real time all of your work orders. So like we always hear work orders falling through the cracks. So work order comes in, they send a technician out, the technician realizes I can't fix this. I need to get a vendor out to do it. Maybe they tag that and annotate it in the work order, make a note of it, and then shoot, they shoot out a request for a proposal from a vendor, and 2 months later they're like, what happened to this? I totally forgot about it. The vendor shoots you an estimate back, you have no idea what work order it belongs to. Or maybe there's just parts awaiting inventory, or you're waiting parts to come into your inventory to be able to fix it, and it's now 1,000 more work orders have come in. It's just at the bottom of the pile, and you don't realize that this has already been requested and it's still broken, and you need this done now that that part's in. And so the whole work order triage is just management of things, making sure that those aren't falling through the cracks, making sure that they're getting routed correctly, making sure that you're understanding any of the data points around your efficiencies of your operations, and in it taking that and being able to suggest to you how to make it better is also a real outcome that it can do for you. And so that's part of the excitement of it. Is it what it suggests is dependent upon the organization that it's employed for, and how that organization operates.
That's what I like, that it's not just general, that it can have that specificity I'm always talking about that makes the biggest difference. Like if I say something like, well, why FlowPath? And we know some of the specificity from other episodes as far as how and why you and your two partners launched. But then now, fast forward a few years, we're talking about getting that customer specificity as to how they're going to leverage the solution that meets their actual working style. And so many other companies, there's a lot of noise in this industry, right? That's why I always say, let's talk about the specificity with your solution and how it meets the needs of your clients. It's not just about selling software. It's taking a tool that can be used properly and it can understand what you teach it and tell it. And it's not just cookie cutter. That's what I like about that. And the other thing I keep coming back to is this idea that the AI assistant is, maybe this is a bold statement, it's never going to forget what you necessarily have to forget when you keep moving forward. And it's going to go, hey, we just got this. And this is from 362 days ago or 22 days ago. Check this out. And now you're like, damn, that's right. We got to take care of that. So I like that utilization of an actual function that makes an impact. So would this then, because you were talking about how we can roll in all the assets, and as it relates to preventive maintenance, one of these things I see a lot of users of CMMS platforms struggling with is how to properly set up, build out their PM schedules. But then what they also need to do is what we call optimization, figure out which ones are unnecessary, not making an impact, that are redundant. Does the AI assistant do anything in that regard when it's kind of watching and seeing how things unfold?
So to the first part, the AI assistant can absolutely recommend full PM schedules. It can query the internet and pull in enriched data for that asset too. So if you're looking to populate your asset information with life cycle details, or maybe the latest replacement costs, or just maybe you don't have the right information on when should I anticipate this asset to need replacement. You can pull this information and populate it, and then the system can also, like you were alluding to, create preventive maintenance schedules for you, and kind of best practice formats. And so it can do that across the entire system very quickly for you too. So it can categorize, classify, and get all of your asset management together very quickly. And so we're excited about that part, because a lot of our customers, that gets more into the proactive maintenance side of the house, and on the spectrum of, operational maturity of our customer base. And I think a lot of just generally the maintenance industry and facilities management industry generally, there's a broad spectrum of people that are just constantly having reactive work, and hairs on fire, all the way to, the whole building's run by IoT devices and it's all automated. Like there's a big middle area between those two. And so we are really focused on taking our customers and allowing them to mature kind of along that spectrum, just to get to the next outcome that they're looking to do that makes their organization that much better, without it being overwhelming. And so when you can when you can build an asset registry, like that's a big step for a lot of people. And then when you can enrich that registry with data that is going to then allow you to budget for replacement and have an idea of lifecycle management, that's a big deal. And then further, like when you can take that information and build out full preventive maintenance schedules for it, that's a best practice to have that in place. And a lot of people struggle, or just because there's like the volume of work required to get that done. Traditionally, just typing it in or figuring it out with a system can now be poof, it's done within a minute.
Yeah.
Across your entire system, thousands of assets, like that's a big deal. And all of a sudden you're leveling up thousands of organizations to be able to accomplish way more than they ever could have on any other system. And so that's what we're very excited about, is just, and what we've been always focused on building is just those tools to help people get to that next phase for them, and then open their eyes to what could be and what they should be looking at. Okay, after we've got our PMs, then, what's the next thing I can be proactive towards, right? And we've got a whole long list of just best practices.
It's outstanding. Again, I'm having all these flashbacks of how, I used to do it, or we used to do it with clients I had way back in the day. And these are all these things that I always call like barriers to not just entry, but barriers to that operational maturity that you already referenced, which sometimes I consider to be maintenance maturity. And maybe it's, everybody talks about digital transformation. Let's not talk about that. This is about actually creating that opportunity that all these clients, they want to improve, but they can't because they have so much in front of them. And this just creates that pathway, because now it literally helps them. It's not just some random, I keep saying, you're not just slapping a little polish on and going, ooh, look, it's shiny, magic silver bullet stuff. It's actually effective and impactful. And this is why when I talked earlier on today about having some knowledge as to what really went into it and how long everything was worked on and the strategies you used internally to make sure it was going to be a real thing, that just makes me happy, because it's actually doing something instead of just being a marketing play. It's an impact play. It's about that outcome, and that's really good. When it comes to people engaging, like at the early stages, when they're learning about FlowPath and they want to, get on a call and do a demo, I can't remember if you still offer trial accounts, but do people at least get to see it in action and kind of put it to the test?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do offer trial accounts, which the sandbox environments are easy to set up. And along with that, if the prospect sends us data from their existing system, we can put it into that sandbox account, so you can actually just use FlowPath as you would with your own data. That's super easy. We also have the full capabilities to have the AI assistant import your data for you. You can just give it a CSV file of your assets or your preventive maintenance or your inventory or your work order history, and it will upload it to the system for you. It's pretty wild. And so that onboarding process is another thing that the AI assistant does very well. And so the creation of the account is super easy. But to your point on the demos, yes, it's active, it's live. We show them how they could potentially be solving current challenges or achieving their objectives with that in play. because there's always reporting questions. I want to know how to see how many work orders somebody completed last month, and they're worried about how do I build the dashboard on the reporting suite to be able to create that. Like, well, we already have that dashboard created out of the box, one. But now all you have to do is just ask the AI assistant it, and you can talk to it. You literally can just ask it how many work, and it will tell you. And
Yeah.
so that kind of thing is pretty cool when it comes to being able to just show people in real time how it could help them reduce the administrative burden of their current system, and how much more time they'd get back with FlowPath, but also just more functionality and features.
Yeah, this again, it's pressing a lot of buttons for me, having been on the ride in a earlier era of CMMS, and how this opportunity really makes, I keep coming back to that impact, and that's what matters to me. That's what matters on CMMS radio. So one thing I want to make sure people know about is I've got a link they can use if they go to getflowpath.com/CMMS radio, so they can sign up, engage, learn about it. And it's not like a pressure thing. It's where, you can engage with the team, learn about it. And then if they do launch into a trial, they get to really put it to the test. And a lot of orgs shy away, a lot of CMMS companies shy away from doing that because it creates kind of a bottleneck on their side. And I can appreciate that. But for clients, using the platform, being able to have it truly help you do something, you don't have to figure it out on your own anymore. And that's not to make you lazy. It's to amplify what you're already trying to do. Because we talked about it, right? Where they're kind of stuck doing what they do. And then they got this massive undertaking. They really want to do it, but they can't get to it yet. This is going to change all of that. And that's why I was so excited about getting to hook up today. And I think really, we can dive deeper and deeper into this. What I'm wondering is if we can kind of maybe get on a little bit of a cadence. I don't love that cadence word, but like maybe get some every couple of months updates on some really cool stuff people are doing with it, and maybe I can talk to them about it. But what have I left out from this renewed launch that people need to know about, as far as why this really is a game changer potentially for them if they look at FlowPath and they want that real embedded AI experience? What would you say?
I think my answer is going to be a little counterintuitive, because we've released AI, but we're not necessarily selling the AI. We're selling your ability to have greater outcomes across the board with your organization. So we continue to go into conversation with prospects, understanding what are you trying to accomplish? And you're trying to accomplish big goals with current software, probably, that doesn't allow you to get even halfway there. And so when I can open up FlowPath and I can talk to you about what you're trying to accomplish, there's different ways to accomplish them. But one of the big, shiny, cool ways to accomplish a lot of the things that you're looking to do probably is this AI assistant. And so it is a wonderful tool in the toolbox of all of the things FlowPath has already done very well. And so I would say that the AI isn't the thing itself that we are selling. We're selling continued outcomes and achievable outcomes to get to that next level. We just have like the best tool to do it now, hands down, in our opinion. And so it's that would be my kind of answer to that. Of don't think about AI for the sake of AI. Think about AI of how can it help me.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, I've heard it too, just from speaking with prospects. They say, "Oh, our next system's going to use AI," and I go, "Great. What are you going to do? What are you going to use it for?" And they're like, "Oh, I don't know. It's going to have AI."
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, you still need to go through the process of like anything else, of just stating your objectives and figuring out how you're going to get there, and like making a plan to do it. And so that's why we're building automations, right? And we're packaging it up to be able to have a more approachable, outcome based focus. But at this point in time, it's we are very much focused on the end user's objectives and what is the most common path to getting to the next stage for you. And that's what we're working on.
Yeah. And that, again, that speaks to kind of the reality as to, why we've been connected for a few years, why I'm a fan of what you and the whole team at FlowPath are doing, that you haven't lost that. I think I used to call it customer centricity, but you're focused on the outcome for the client. And it gets really hard with some of the orgs out there to really stay focused on that. And it's something that is important to me. I've kept it as part of everything that I do, and I so appreciate that. I want to give a shout out to Brandon Cummings, and I also want to give a shout out to Griffin Hamilton, along with you, Alex, for the great work you've been doing and that you continue to do. That's important. And again, I'll remind everybody, I'll put a link in the episode. Maybe I might even share a little video that you see a little clip of the AI in action moving around some cards, some work orders. Really loving your journey. I hope people connect with you. If they do, or if they need help with that, or they want to ask questions about how they're building out their programs, I'm available to help out. Want to know how this is going. And we're being fearless here, because that transparency tells everyone out there, you can work with this team. You can work with these people. And I wouldn't say that if I didn't mean that. And anybody that knows me knows that's true. So Alex Cummings, FlowPath, thank you for being here with me once again on CMMS Radio.
Appreciate it, Greg. You're the best.
Thanks, man. Did you find this episode helpful? Please send us some feedback, suggest a topic, or ask a question. Reach out to CMMS Radio if you need a co-pilot on your CMMS project. Visit CMMSradio.com and use the What's on Your Mind link. Thank you for tuning in to CMMS Radio, your resource for all things CMMS, from selection to implementation, to help you make better choices, learn from industry experts, and have a successful CMMS journey.